If you know 3,000 words in English, you can pretty much say anything that you need to say. I'm teaching 3,000 words in 3,000 days. Let's take a look. Frightened. Frightened. Did you hear how I pronounced that? Now, in some Englishes, you might hear frightened, but in North American English, we usually swallow this last whole bit and say "nd." Frightened. We don't even really pronounce that T. So, some synonyms of frightened could be scared, alarmed, terrified, petrified. So we're getting more and more scared, more and more frightened. Less frightened would be disconcerted or panicked. Panic. Panic is spelled with a C, but if I put it into past tense, I think we have to change the spelling. Yeah. So if I'm going to add an ED to this, I have to add a K. Why? I'll tell you. So this C has two sounds. It says K and it also says S. If the C is followed by an E or an I, it will say S. If it's followed by something else, it will say K. So because I want this sound to stay K, panic, I want it to say the K sound, and I'm adding an E here, I need to add the K so that I keep the sound, panicked. That overarching principle in English spelling will save you because we do it when we double up letters. We are just trying to maintain the phonetic sounds because some of our letters have more than one sound, okay? C has more than one sound. This I can say I, so watch your vowels because sometimes they're short or long. It's a whole thing with spelling, and it can make spelling difficult. Notice that in panic, we had to add the K in order to keep this sound K. So let's go back to frightened. Are you frightened of English spelling? A lot of people are. A loud thunderstorm frightened the children, causing them to run to their parents for comfort. So they're scared or they're alarmed. This girl looks frightened. She saw something that she doesn't understand or that is very scary. She saw something nasty in the woodshed. She felt frightened by the sudden noise in the empty house, her heart pounding in her chest. She was frightened by. So we often say by with the word frightened. It means she was startled or spooked, like a horse. You know, horses are easily frightened. If you've ever ridden a horse, something happens over here and they're frightened. They're easily spooked. The stray dog looked frightened and confused, cowering in the corner of the shelter. They're vulnerable. They're fearful. He was too frightened to speak. His voice caught in his throat as he faced the intimidating figure. He's paralyzed by fear. To be too frightened to do something means you can't do it because you're afraid. You're paralyzed by fear. The students were initially frightened of their strict teacher, but they soon realized she was kind at heart. Frightened of. So you can be frightened by, you can be frightened of. You're usually frightened by an event or something. You're frightened of a person, their demeanor. You can be frightened of dogs. Frightened by a dog is just one event of the dog, right? Frightened of dogs means all dogs you're afraid of. You're intimidated or you're wary of them. The opposite of frightened might be reassured or comforted. So you're comforted by, what are you comforted by? I am comforted by a hug. When someone hugs me, I'm comforted. I'm comforted by kind words. I'm frightened by angry words. The noun is fright. Fright. If you gave me a fright. And the verb is frighten. The adjective is frightened or frightening. Frightened, frightening. Oh, the next video is all about frightening. So notice these, the pronunciation. I pretty much collapse the whole last of the word, frightened, frightening. And there's no adverb. I really hope that you enjoyed this word. I want you to use it at least 5 times today. Like and subscribe, and please send me your questions and comments. I look at those, and if you have any questions about English, please ask. I will answer it in the comments. I might even make a video about it. So I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.